Saruman is regarded by Gandalf as the wisest and most knowledgeable out of the 5 Istari, or wizards. So what made Saruman abandon reason for madness? Appendix B, The Tales of the Years, tells us about when Círdan gave Gandalf Narya. The Ring of Gil-galad was given by him to Elrond, but Círdan surrendered to Mithrandir. For Círdan saw further and deeper than any other in Middle-earth, and he welcomed Mithrandir at the Grey Havens, knowing whence he came and whither he would return. "Take this ring, master," he said, "for your labours will be heavy, but it will support you in your weariness that you have taken upon yourself, for this is the Ring of Fire, and with it you may rekindle the hearts in the world that grows chill. But as for me, my heart is with the sea, and I will dwell by the grey shores until the last ship sails. I will await you." Giving it to Gandalf instead of Saruman may be seen as somewhat confusing, because Gandalf says that Saruman is the wisest and most knowledgeable, but Círdan is also extremely wise and can see who is better deserving of it, and perhaps saw the jealousy arising from Saruman. And this is where the problems with Saruman seemingly began. In the Unfinished Tales, it gives us details and further insight into how Saruman had eventually ascended to the dark side. In the section that speaks about the Istari, it essentially reiterates what it said in that passage I mentioned from Appendix B, and it continues on and discusses how Saruman felt upon learning about this. "For," said he, "great labours and perils lie before you, and lest your task prove too great and wearisome, take this ring for your aid and comfort. It was entrusted to me only to keep secret, and here upon the west shores it is idle. But I deem that in the days ere long to come it should be in nobler hands than mine, but that may wield it for the kindling of all hearts to courage." And the grey messenger took the ring, and kept it ever secret. Yet the white messenger, who was skilled to uncover all secrets, after a time became aware of this gift, and begrudged it, and it was the beginning of the hidden ill will that he bore to the grey, which afterwards became manifest. Later, as time went on, Saruman's hatred and jealousy of Gandalf grew, and it was because he actually feared him, and in his heart in the Grey Wanderer had the great strength and the greater influence upon the dwellers in Middle-earth. And because of this, he would treat him with little respect, even though he did listen to what he had to say, but would not show that he did out of spite and arrogance. He would eventually start avoiding contact with Gandalf as much as he could. Listening to him convinced him of visiting the Shire often, later with spies, and having halflings leave in secret, although he would suggest it's foolish to do so and very low class, making him very hypocritical. One of the occasions where he talked of halflings leaf or pipeweed was during a council meeting in TA 2851. There, Gandalf suggested that they go deal with Dol Guldur, but Saruman wanted to contradict him just out of his own pride.
"When weighty matters are in debate, Mithrandir, I wonder a little that you should play with your toys of fire and smoke, while others are in earnest speech."
But Gandalf laughed, and replied,
"You would not wonder if you used this herb yourself. Yon might find that smoke blown out cleared your mind of the shadows within. Anyway, it gives patience to listen to error without anger. But it is not one of my toys. It is an art of the little people away in the west, merry and worthy folk, though not of much account, perhaps, in your high policies."
Saruman was little appeased by this answer, for he hated mockery, however gentle, and he then said coldly,
"You jest, Lord Mithrandir, as your way. I know well enough that you should become a curious explorer of the small, weeds, wild things, and childish folk. Your time is your own to spend, if you have nothing worthier to do. The days are too dark for wanderers' tales, and I have no time for simples of peasants."
Gandalf did not laugh again, and he did not answer, but looking keenly at Saruman, he drew his pipe and sent out a great ring of smoke, with many smaller rings that followed it. Then he put up his hand, as if to grasp them, and they vanished. With that he got up and left Saruman without another word, but Saruman stood up for some time silent, and his face was dark with doubt and displeasure. Thanks for watching. This was part 1 of 2. I wasn't intending it to be split into 2 parts, but I realized that there was more information that I was going to include than I thought. Remember to like, subscribe, and light the beacons on your way out, and until our next meeting, I bid you farewell.